In this video, we're checking out the Boss SY-1 synthesizer. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new here, my name is Merrow. Here on this channel, you're going to find gear demos like this one and instructional videos aimed to help musicians just like you and I. So as I said in the intro, we're checking out the Boss SY-1, and this is very exciting for me because something I've tried to do over the years, like for so many years, I've tried to make my guitar sound like a synthesizer or not a guitar, essentially. Just, you know, for the fun of it. So like a lot of times I would kick on some fuzz pedals, turn it on the neck pickup, roll down the tone, so you're getting like a real square wave sound. But the synthesizer, the SY-1, does exactly what I was trying to do, and it does it better, and it's just super impressive. So let's go ahead and get into it real quick. The controls on the SY-1 might seem a little daunting to, you know, at first look, but they're pretty easy to understand. Right over here, we have two level controls that are concentric. So we have a middle control for our wet sound, our synth sound, and we have a dry control for our dry guitar or bass that we're putting into it. If we turn both of them down, we're not gonna get anything. If we want our dry signal, we can turn up the outer level. So that's our dry, and then in the middle, we have our synth sound. So right there already, that sounds super cool. The SY-1 is polyphonic, which means we can put in multiple notes. We can play multiple notes, and this pedal will track all of them. You're not gonna get any of that skipping and jumping around like you'll get in more analog pedals like the OC2 or other octave pedals that are only monophonic, meaning when you play more than one note, they're gonna kind of jump around and they can't track it. So this is polyphonic, so you can play full bar chords and it'll track all the strings individually, all the notes individually, and do a really good job. Moving on from our level controls, we have tone and depth controls. Now, these two controls are pretty interactive. On the sequencer mode, I believe it's the tone controls the tempo of the sequencer. The depth kind of controls the filter of each different variation and different mode. So you can kind of get like a more consistent sound, or you can get more of like an auto-wah type of sound in some of the modes. So like if we turn it up, it's a pretty consistent sound, but as we turn that depth down, it's going to kind of envelope in and out of the full range of that sound. And then the tone knob controls how bright or dark the sound is. So if we want a bright sound, we can turn it up. And then if you think that might be too bright of a sound, we can turn the tone knob down to kind of shave off some of that high end. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to the right side, which is the mode control. And this is an 11 position rotary knob that gives us 11 different modes. Now we have 8 different global modes of like types of sound of synthesizer, but 2 of those modes have 2 options within. So like on the first position here is lead. We have 2 positions of lead. To expand on the capabilities of this pedal even more, directly to the left of that is our variation toggle. Now this is also an 11 position rotary toggle, and this gives us 11 different variations within each of these modes. So we have 11 different variations of lead 1, essentially. That can unlock an incredible amount of versatility in the sounds that you can get out of the SY-1. Now again, as I said, we have the lead mode, which we're in right now. We have 2 different modes within the lead mode. And I think the idea here is, you know, when you hear lead mode, that's going to be kind of like single note lines. Again, this mode can do polyphonic runs, so throwing it 2 notes at the same time or even 3 or more is just fine, but I think the idea is more of like a lead type synth here. And then if we move over to the third mode, we have pad. Now pad is going to be more kind of ethereal and like slower attack, longer release times. So again, pad mode is going to give us, you know, 11 different types of different pads, and that means like kind of slower attack, more ethereal, more slower sounds. So this mode lends itself to blending in some of your clean guitar sound if you're doing some like rhythm work. I'll go ahead and put my dry direct guitar sound at like 50%. Maybe a little bit lower. So now if we move over to the bass mode, which is position 4, we're gonna get our guitar turned into a synth bass. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the dry down to minimum. Let's just start at position 1. So the next mode after bass is strings. And when I think of string sounds, I think, again, kind of closer to the pad style, where it's a slower moving, kind of cascading string sound than more like staccato, fast string sound. So again, this might lend itself well to blending in some clean signal. Let's put that direct up at like 40% or so. So again, that's a really cool sound. We have 11 different versions. I'm not going to go into each variation in each mode in this video because that would just be super long, but just know that there are at least 10 more that we haven't gone over yet. So next is organ, and I want to go over a couple different variations. I'm going to go ahead and turn my guitar signal off, so we're only getting synth sound. The first position I wanted to go to is the third variation in the organ mode. This is kind of like, you know, your pretty standard organ sound. The variations on this kind of like introduce different types of organs, of course. That's kind of like the baseball, that kind of organ. And then if we keep going, that's pretty cool. So this one, what is this, mode set or variation 7 is one of my favorites, just because the way that the organ sounds when you kind of slide into notes. I just love that kind of like sliding motion. And also if you, let's say we're on this like an A minor chord and we hit the A string, it's gonna kind of like drone out and you can kind of play a little lead thing over it. And then moving on from the organ mode, we have the bell mode to give us the sound of kind of like strings and bells. So like that chimey sound. Moving on, we have sound effects. And then moving on from sound effects, we have the sequencer. Okay, so one of my favorites in the sequencer is Variation 9. And I like to bring my guitar in a little bit. And again, in the sequencer mode, the tone knob actually doesn't control the tone, it controls the tempo of the sequencer. So if we want a fast sequencer, we can turn it up. And then, of course, if we want a slower one, we can turn it down. So I didn't get into it in this video, but the SY-1 has a function where you can hit a chord, press and hold the foot switch, and that'll sustain that chord so you can play over it. We have a guitar and bass toggle on the top of the pedal, so we can fine tune what the pedal wants to see. If you're playing bass, of course, you'd switch it over to bass. I'm playing guitar, so I have it on the guitar mode. We also have an effect loop inside the SY-1 where we can only apply, a distortion pedal or a drive pedal of some sort to our direct signal, our guitar signal, and then it'll independently affect the dry signal, and then that'll come out of the pedal. It's a really cool pedal. I hope you dug this look at it. If you did, let me know in the comments below what was your favorite sound, how would you use this pedal on your pedal board. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, if you did like this video, please subscribe to the channel. If you want to interact with me a little bit more, you can always find me over on Instagram. My handle is @EricMerrow. And I want to send a huge thank you to these folks right over here who are my executive producers from my Patreon page. These folks help support this channel and keep it running, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you'd like to learn how to help support the channel, I'll leave a link in the description below. So thank you so much for the support. Thank you for watching. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe, and I will talk to you in the next video.